1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, and welcome back to It's Not a Sport, Season 3, Episode 11. So, first off, before we get into news and everything, because there is a lot of interesting news that is coming out, I just want to talk about shows to look forward to. I want to do a show about eSports because it's been a while since we talked about that topic. Next week will be about The Last of Us Part 2. So that review, look forward to that. I'm going to do a mini review of that. And then we're going to have talks about more design shows. Like I want to talk about the 4 pillars. And this week's talk, of course, is about your ad profile. So, like always, let's get into esports, starting with League of Legends and the LPL. So we have Top Esports in first place being 6-0. Then we have Victory 5 being 5-2, tied for second. LGD is third, 4-1. And then we have Team WE, Royals Never Give Up, Invictus, and Fun Plus all tied for fourth, being 4-2. We have Sunning and JD Gaming 8th and 9th, Vinci in 10th, E-Star, Edward, Oh My God, and LNG are all tied for 11th. We have Bilibee for 15th, Demonis for 16th, and Rogue Warriors in 17th. In LCK, Korea, we have Dragon X in first, being 4-0, then Genji, Dam1, Team Dynamic, and T1, or SKT, tied for second. We have a Freak of Freaks in 6th, Solhan 1 and KT tied for 7th, and Hang One Life and Sandbox being 0-4 tied for 9th. In Europe, we have Mad Lions tied in first place, being 6-1. Rogue for second, being 5-2. SK, Origins, G2, Misfits, all in third, being 4-3. Fnatic at 7th. Also tied for 7th is Team Vitality. And then we have XL in 9th and Skalok 04 in 10th place. In LCS, which I've been watching I watched pretty much all the games this week, and none of them were super impressive, honestly. We have Cloud9 being 6-0 in first. They are by far on an entirely different level compared to the rest of the league. Then we have Evil Geniuses, TSM, CLG, Team Liquid, FlyQuest, all tied for second, being 4-2. Golden Guardians is in 7th. Immortals tied with 100 Thieves for 8th, being 1-5, and Dignitas being last, being 0-6. Immortals was doing terrible, dude. And the funny thing is that they actually switched out their entire roster with their academy roster, and they won their first game doing that. So that's actually just hilarious that happened. There's been a lot of talk on the NA scene recently about trying to in corporate academy more, because the academy teams are just as good as our bottom tier LCS teams. So maybe I think one of the owners was wanting to do a tournament where academy goes to New York, so we have East Coast versus West Coast or something like that along the lines, which honestly at this point may help this league out a lot, because I think it's very stale. Players don't enjoy watching our region, and it's getting really bad. So moving on to the Overwatch League, we have Shanghai Dragons in first, followed by Philadelphia, then San Francisco, Guangzhou, New York, Florida Mayhem, Paris, Los Angeles Valiants, Atlanta, Seoul Dynasty, Hangzhou Spark, Los Angeles Gladiators, London, Houston, Dallas, Toronto, Vancouver, Chengdu, Washington, and Boston is in last place. For games coming out at the end of this month, we have Bridging the Legend of Runes for the Switch, Crying Suns for mobile, Phantom Cover Op, Almost Gone, Tower of Time, my bad. 7 Doors for PC, again, Tower of Time, yes, Your Grace. Excuse me, I'm yawning because these games are just so boring. Again, there's really nothing that comes out at the end of this month. So we're going to kind of move over, looking into July. Again, right now we're kind of in a stale period where you got really nothing to play. So this time I recommend, going to one of my the ending episodes of the previous seasons, listening to all my recommendations and finding a recommendation there, because I have some great recommendations and games that you could play. So check out those episodes, because I think now is the time to check out those games right now. So we have Senor Alice will be coming out on the mobile in July. Then we have Trackmania, Biped, Infliction, Marvel's Iron Man VR. Oh, scary. That comes out on July 3rd. Really nothing. We have F1 2020 coming out July 10th, along with NASCAR coming out, an SAO game. Death Stranding for PC comes out on July 14th, which is, I guess cool. Ghost of Tsushima, which is probably the next big hitting PlayStation title, comes out July 17th. Rock of Ages 3 comes out 21st. We have really that's it, and we don't get a whole lot of good games probably to about September or August. So moving on, we got some news. There's some news that I missed last week that I apologize for missing. It just kind of went over. Was missing in my notes. First off, being the Smash character ARMS that came out, or that was announced. So that's cool. New Smash character is always fun for that game. Then we have things like I think there was the Avengers game had some gameplay that came out. So there's some things like that. There's some Cyberpunk gameplay that came out this week. Of course, because of the delay. It's cool that they showed us something. Some early copy reviews went out, and people are saying that it is a lot. It is a lot to take in. Cyberpunk being my game, most anticipated game now after I played The Last of Us and Final Fantasy VII so far. At this point in time, my favorite game of this year has been Final Fantasy VII by far. And I'm going to give you a mini review of The Last of Us right now, without any spoilers. And then if you want to do my full-fledged in-depth review, which I have already written out for you, tune into next week's episode, because that's going to be the main topic of the next week's episode. So, let's actually just go in the Last of Us review, since that's what I have before we get into kind of also some more interesting announcements. So Last of Us 2 review, short, really seminar, short version being that if you want to buy it and you're worried about spending the $60, it's worth the $60. It is a full-fledged 20-hour experience that is worth $60. It is a game. Yes. Does it have its problems? Yes. Are those problems valid and noteworthy, and why it's currently sitting on a very low user score on Metacritic the last time I checked? Yes, they are valid. Is the backlash the games get valid? Yes. A lot of the advertising that you see for the game isn't really what the game is. It's more about maybe 40% of what the game actually is what they advertise to us. And I went into this game without any leaks. So of course I'm gonna go. So to sum that kind of up, is it a good game? Is it worth $60? Yes. does it have a lot of problems and concerns that why it isn't a great game and really like a lot of kind of noteworthy problems? Yes, it does. And all its feedback that it's kind of getting from players that played it and users is valid from what I played. But it is worth the pickup, I think. And my overall score of the game, and this won't change, of course, when I talk about the full-fledged and the problems and everything that I thought about the game, the good, the negative. Next week's show, it's a 6 out of 10. That's what the game is. It's a 6 out of 10. So moving on to kind of some announcements that we had. I'm just going to have this play in the background because this is actually very interesting that this came out this week. So the Pokemon Company did a reveal about a new Pokemon game that they're talking about. And they partnered with Tencent. We already kind of knew this, that they partnered with Tencent, because this happened like earlier in the year. And if you don't know who Tencent is, you should. They are a big gaming company, or big kind of publishing gaming company. Just to get a short brief of them, they own 100% of Riot Games, which makes League of Legends. They own 40% of Epic Games, which runs Fortnite and all that. They are a big publisher in China. They have pretty much a hand in the gaming industry in every aspect of it, and they just to get how big they are, they own Fortnite in China and they own PUBG in China. So they're essentially competing with themselves. That's how big Tencent is. They're huge, and you should definitely know who they are and what they do. I've talked about them on the show before. So Tencent, so the Pokemon Company partnered up with Tencent to bring them people a mobile battle royale, or not mobile MOBA. That's what I'm trying to say. For mobile game, your phones, and for the Switch. And it's free to start, which is a very interesting model. They partnered up with one of Tencent's game studios, as we're watching the podcast stream right now, Timai, to make this game. They've made other kind of mobile games in the past. I think they made the League of Legends rip-off mobile game before. Riot's now making their own mobile League of Legends, so they've made that. So they have experience in this field. So they're making this Pokemon mobile game, and it's gotten a lot of backlash and a lot of it's done really terribly for the announcement. I think a lot of people were expecting a Diamond Pearl remake. This sadly wasn't the case. And it just got a huge amount of backlash. The reason why I bring this up is just I want to talk about Pokemon briefly. I think they're worthy of their own episode, definitely. But Pokemon as a company it's like Star Wars. We make fun of Star Wars now because we see like the little droids in Star Wars, and it's like, oh, that's just a toy for them to sell. They put that in the movie so they can make a toy for it so they can sell it. And Pokemon is 100% the same thing. They are on such a huge IP level. They are one of the biggest IPs in gaming that if you just slap Pokemon on anything, it will probably sell. And what they're looking for is probably the next Pokemon Go. So that's why they're such a huge company as a whole, because their IP, just no matter what, it will sell. Why I bring this up is because they've gotten extremely lazy. One thing I could give count to Star Wars is that even though it's like not what it used to be, Star Wars is just like they still put in the effort, to make new stuff. And when we saw with Sword and Shield, even though it was extremely successful, and I think it's one of the most selling Pokemon games, I didn't buy into it because they've just gotten so lazy. We all saw the backlash of Sword and Shield with them cutting the Pokédex, and it just had its first expansion. And everything I hear from Pokemon now is just everything I see from the moves that they make is just not. It's not on par on what it should be. And I'm really kind of just saying this because I think Pokemon's a great game. I really like it. I like collecting shit, and collecting those Pokemons is really cool. But I do think they need to step up their game and their quality of games in order to make it better. And I thought Sword and Shield was going to be that game, but the move that they made was really just kind of bad. But Sword and Shield for me, if they when it comes to the Pokédex, for example, if they cut it in half, meaning one half goes to Sword, the other half goes to Shield, I would be totally down with that. That's cool as fuck, that gives you more incentive to buy both games and to trade both games with friends or whatever, because one half goes to Sword, the other half goes to Shield. But that wasn't the case. So I just, a short, brief Pokemon. Again, they kind of they can deserve their own episode, but I just wanted to bring that up because it's a concern, and them doing this mobile thing and this MOBA is, especially with its weird buy to start model, is definitely noteworthy. And I think you Pokemon fans are slowly starting to wake up, but need to wake up faster, because other games have done this, and this is just like, it's not good, and you need to really speak up in order to get better quality games, and raise these concerns, because this is not the direction I personally want Pokemon to be going. I know you don't want Pokemon to be going. So with that being said, we're going to get into another big talking point for this show. It's huge news, actually. And this is going to transition into our main topic, which is going to be a little bit shorter because, again, this episode just had huge news with just the Pokemon and this, because this is going to take a minute. But for now, before we get into this, because I think this next topic is so big, we're going to move into a transition just to take a little breather, and people could start here. Starting now. All right. And we are back. So our next big topic, right? It's talking about Mixer. Mixer, if you don't know, is closing down very soon, I believe. I want to say July 6th. Mixer will be gone. It will be it's terminated. It's just done. If you don't know what Mixer is, it is Microsoft's streaming platform. So Microsoft, being the gigantic corporation that they are, made a streaming platform to compete with Amazon's Twitch. And it's been somewhat unsuccessful, honestly. They bought up the biggest streamer on Twitch about a year ago, being Ninja. They bought the second biggest streamer on Twitch, being Shroud. And I believe they bought the biggest Destiny streamer, Goth the Lion, to exclusively come over and stream on their platform. And with those big moves, they're unsuccessful. And then quarantine hit. And we saw quarantine hit, and we saw a spike in a lot of things. We saw a spike in Netflix, we saw a spike in movies or games in general. We saw a spike in streaming services. Twitch went up. YouTube went up. Facebook gaming went up. But Mixer did not go up at all. And so with that definitive proof, Microsoft came to the conclusion that it was time to shut Mixer down. That means Mixer is canceled. They made a deal with Facebook saying, hey, streamers, go over to Facebook gaming, because of course they themselves don't want more of these people to go over to Twitch, though it seems a lot of them are. I believe you get like 2,500 if you go over Facebook gaming or something like that, or decide to stream on Facebook gaming. Um, but that's kind of the deal with Mixer. It's done. It's canceled. And it's kind of interesting to see because of those big streamer names I just talked about. But I'm not going to talk about them just yet. I want to talk about the smaller dudes, the small streamers that were on, that maybe only pulled like 100 views like a day or a week or something like that. Those guys on Mixers, because they spent so much effort building their platform on Mixer, building their community on Mixer, because that's where they decided to stream instead of Twitch. And they decided to do it all on Mixer. And now that they closed Mixer, those guys got screwed, man. Like they're gonna lose that community that they work so hard, because people they won't go out and find you. If you're there, they'll be there and they'll there. But as soon as these guys move, those guys their viewers will scatter and go to different places. And of course, me kind of doing the same thing, and I don't really like to say this, but we're all competing for those viewers or some sort of viewership or sponsorships or anything. And of course, it's really hard to do that on Twitch when the pie is so already just saturated. Why watch this small time nobody when you can watch Popular Ninja, and it promotes Popular Ninja because Popular Ninja makes the money. So it's very sad to see Mixer go, because all these dudes who are partnered up with Mixer are now they got nowhere to go, and I guess the best place they're gonna go is Twitch. So it's really sad to see that. Now, on the bigger hand, if we're talking about Shroud, if we're talking about Ninja, and we're talking about Gotham Lion, I know for a fact Ninja went into this, right? They bought him saying, hey, come to our platform. And I remember Netflix was also, I guess, competing for him, and he said, "I'll go to Netflix unless you match or raise the price." And Microsoft did. Ninja's streamed on this platform for about a year. He probably lost a lot of viewership. Made 30 mil apparently. And now he's done. He's a free agent. He can go wherever he wants. He's no longer exclusively tied to this counter to Mixer, which is incredible for him, honestly. He could just go back to Twitch, though when he left Twitch they had a huge falling out, so I don't know if he's going to go back to Twitch. It would be very surprising that if he goes to Facebook. I know some other people exclusively went to Facebook. I think the I Am Bread streamer, or I Am Toast, I think he's a big like TFT kind of streamer or Hearthstone streamer, I believe he went to Facebook. But Ninja now has, the biggest streamer ever, now has the option to go to Facebook or to go to back to Twitch. And as if you're looking on the stream right now, or not the stream, if you're watching the show or this episode on YouTube, and I have it visually up, we can see that a lot of these guys who are a lot of these streams that are up are just on Mixer or just live streams telling them to go to their Twitch channel now. A lot of them are. I count just right now. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. But there's too many to count, honestly, because nobody's streaming on this. They're all saying, "Hey, go to our Twitch now." So a lot of them. So that's what's gonna happen. And Shroud next up, he made 10. I think he made 10 mil. And now he can go. He's a free agent. He can go wherever he wants. So the death of Mixer is really sad, because I think Twitch does need that a competitor. No one watches just CNN. They also watch Fox News. They also watch, whatever other news outlets. They don't just watch one. And Twitch is just one. And it's so big and it has too much of the pie right now that it just needs to be broken off. And I think because Facebook has such a bad rep, especially with like young audience, which is kind of the gaming audience, no one's really gonna go to Facebook that much as or over Twitch. So it's really sad to see this happen. to Mixer, because I think Mixer was a very good platform, and it kind of, yeah, it was inevitable at the end of the day. As soon as we saw those numbers on what people were doing during quarantine, it was coming, that this was gonna be killed off. Which kind of leaves me into like my next kind of interesting point, and that being Stadia, which again I believe is I'm gonna do an update talk about, but Stadia has also been in the same realm where it can be killed off by Google whenever, and a lot of people aren't using it. And I believe the most recent talk about how Cyberpunk wasn't going to be on Stadia on release was like kind of another nail in the coffin. So we're gonna talk about our main topic now, that being your ad profile. We're kind of running about time. We're gonna go kind of over, but we're gonna talk about that. So real quick transition starting now. All right. So, real quick, let's talk about your online ad profile. Giving the most quickest and simple example, because you have definitely noticed it, even if you haven't. So, for me recently, I've been playing a lot of Fate Go, which is a mobile game. It's a mobile gacha game. Oh no, right? But it's actually a lot of fun. And I've been researching it, and I've been, researching what characters I want to collect, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, And as I've been researching this and typing it into my browser, whenever I go on YouTube now, I get ads for, Raid Shadow Legends or Arclight or whatever the fuck, or, more other games like Fate Go, which are mobile gacha games. I get a lot of that. Another more down to earth example. That's my online profile. But for you, for example, right? Let's say you want to buy a new chair, or when I was looking for this chair behind me, that I'm sitting in, I was going on Amazon. I was typing in chairs. I was typing in chairs in Google. It's like, okay, cool gaming racing chairs, whatever, right? And then as you do that, when you start to search certain websites, you start seeing all these racing chairs or these chairs, or hey, look at this chair or whatever, something like that. That's your online ad profile. Same thing for gaming. Essentially, what it is that it determines it based on your search history. They sell your information. They always do this. And they determine what you like, what you're looking for, and they will recommend it to you or show it to you based on this. So, for example, I Google new Marvel Spider-Man, right? And there is a mobile Spider-Man or mobile Marvel Galactic superhero game out, right? And they determine that I am a young male in between ages, who knows, 15 and 20, 15 and 30, right? And they send out, whoever has that online profile, they send out an ad of Spider-Man, right? And they see, how many clicks and how many likes they get, and how many, people that ad brings in. It turns out a lot of people don't like the Spider-Man ad between that age range. They don't think Spider-Man's cool. I don't know why they think that, but that's just, that's how it goes. Then they decide to send out the same ad, but they send it out with Iron Man. And we really like Iron Man, so they get a lot more clicks. And they figure out that ad profile, that age range, that data really likes Iron Man. So that is essentially your ad profile. And it's not a bad thing overall. I think it helps, develop good content on saying like what people want. but it can be a bad thing when it's used in negative ways, because essentially what you have to understand now is that everything is data on you. When you play a video game, you're not playing the same thing as the other people. When I play, a Fortnite match, it's guaranteed that they tweak some sort of thing just to get more data. They may have added the difficulty. They may have put me in a lobby with a lot better players than my skill level just to see, how does a new player or someone like a mediocre player team up to gather that data. They may put more bots in my game just to say, oh, how does it feel with all these bots versus real players, just to gather that data. This is the world we live in now, where it's all about tweaking and gathering as much confident data as possible. We see it's a lot more in the mobile gaming side and live service as a game side than the console and PC side. But we see with League of Legends, we see like, why do they keep pushing out luck skins? Because people they always buy luck skins. Luck skins sell, so they make more luck skins, compared to those other champions. Why do we never see a Talia skin? Because Talia doesn't sell. No one plays Talia or Talia. No one plays her. And that's why we see more skins for Lux, more skins for Vayne, more skins for Lucian. And even though you may see that like if you're on Reddit, Reddit is the majority of people, you have to understand that. So that's why, when you see those posts like, oh, these champions have gone without a skin, but those people don't matter, because again, that's not what makes them money, and you have to understand that, because that's your online ad profile. These companies are gathering information on you as a person and using that information to either improve their product and try and sell their product. Now, I know there's laws in California, I believe, that they can't really do this anymore. They can't sell your information. So like when you Google stuff like that, they can't sell that in California, but the rest of the world hasn't really caught on. California and here in the United States has always been the more progressive state, and it kind of trickles over to the other side of the country until it finally reaches Washington, and then they kind of do something. But that's kind of just how this country works. But it's very, I think, important for you to understand your online ad profile and know what it is, because you're seen and they are marketing the things to you for a reason, and it is very important to understand why they're doing that. Because right now we live in the information era. That's the era that this is called, the information era. And information is power. It is key. And that's why gathering data on your players, on anything, on what they want, what they do, what they like, where they live, all this data, and just gathering why companies gather it, is because that is what is power now. That's what's powerful. So it's, again, like I said, a very short talk, but something I think you need to be worthy of, because right now we live in the information era. So be careful what you post, what you do, because that data goes out, and no matter what you think that it's getting deleted, it's not. When you go into incognito mode, they can still see what you're looking at, your ISP. So be careful, because at the end of the day, it's all still out there. Anyway, thank you for listening to this week's episode of It's Not a Sport. Check out our website, itsnotasport.com, and follow us on our Instagram, It's Not a Sport to You. If you want to listen to all of our previous shows or see the live version, or watch it, check out our YouTube channel. Everything is archived up there. Listen to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. Every show goes up on there each time I upload it each week. Make sure to leave a like and follow us. Those help me out greatly. It makes me know what I'm doing is right. And leave a comment, because I would love to hear you guys' feedback and read those, because that is greatly appreciated. So with further ado, that's that's this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been your host, Salty Waffles, signing off, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful climb.